Hey guys, it's Jet888 here on what is it, Monday, May 23rd. I want to look at a little, some things about the WHO and the CDC, and this right here is on the CDC's website talking about One Health. Um, I think this was brought up in Davos, Switzerland in 2012, but they say One Health is an approach that recognizes the health of people and who are closely connected to the health of animals in our shared environment. And there's sitting here saying that human populations are growing and expanding into new geographic areas. As a result, more people live in close contact with wild and domestic animals, both livestock and pets. Animals play an important role, whether they're for food, fiber, livelihood, travel, sports, education, or companionship. Close contact with animals and their environments provides more opportunities for diseases to pass between animals and people. Okay, so here are some pictures of people farming in the 1800s, growing their crops, working with the animals. On the home front, look at all those vegetables. Here's the agricultural system, farming in the 1800s. Here's a family picking some beets, part of the earth here, growing as food. And here's agriculture today. Yeah, it was really hands-on. And here are grocery stores today. Most people have absolutely no idea where their food comes from. Oh my God. People don't even know like where their milk or their meat or whatever comes from. They wouldn't even know how to gather it. Oh my God, they call it smart food. And the CDC talks about zoonotic diseases too, because like diseases that, jump from animals to people. And isn't that funny? February 19th, 2020, it talks about original King Kong movie returning to the theaters nationwide for the first time in over 60 years. Oh my, and look at that. He probably transferred something funky to her. So when they released the original King Kong, it says Dwight D. Eisenhower was president. The average movie ticket cost 59 cents and not a single man-made item was orbiting the earth. The original theatrical version of King Kong is back to dazzle the digital era. You don't think it's predictive programming, or is it just dazzling? Which one is it? So the film stars Fay Ray. Fay Ray. So Fay Ray there could be looked at the anagram as fry away. So here King Kong is on the Empire State Building. Empire State. Do you know on July 28th, I think it's 1945, um, an Army Air Corps B-25 bomber smashed into the north wall of the Empire State Building and it didn't come tumbling down. It was Colonel William Franklin Smith Jr. who ran into it on a foggy day. So he was also paralleling Fifth Avenue and going west on 33rd. When the bomber hit, its fuel tanks exploded and sent flames racing across the 79 floors. In all, 14 people were killed by the crash, 3 in the bomber and 11 in the building. 25 more were seriously injured. And that's really weird because 79, the first word you see is Daniel, but that could also be DNA lie if you switch those words around. And here are the searches. There's 27,000, over 27,000 searches versus the next Godhead search. Now, why would the name Daniel, unless you switch it around, have so much importance? DNA lie. And 40 years later, these guys topped the height of the Empire State Building by 100 feet. This is what the Empire State Building's crash looked like. And back to the Empire State Building. Do you know it's sold for the second time? They do bring in Hollywood here for the second time to Colonel Henry Crown. Crown, like Corona. Oh, and during that crash on the Empire State Building, it talks about the pilot and he avoided the RCA building and the Rockefeller Center. Isn't that interesting? Parallel to Fifth Avenue. And I found this kind of interesting too regarding the Empire State Building. And they showed this the last, not this Super Bowl, but the last one. Is that the 55th? This says 1950s would turn out to be, according to Maria Elena Velarde, author of the Empire State Building and Manhattan Skyscrapers, the golden era of the Empire State Building. In 1956, the first of what would be many spectacular attempts to light the building took place. In that year, the Freedom of Lights were installed as part of Operation Light Up the Sky. They're declared to be at 7 feet in diameter, the world's most powerful beacons. Beacons. The idea was to have the Empire State Building complete with the Statue of Liberty, to compete with the Statue of Liberty as the monument welcoming immigrants and visitors to the land of opportunity, as more and more were arriving by air than by sea. During these years, the Empire State Building became not only one of the world's most successful real estate operations, but also the most prestigious symbol of this great metropolis. In this document on page 99, it talks about war beacon. Okay, so beacon, guiding or warning signal. A guiding or warning signal, especially one in an elevated position. And that's weird, in this view down here, it has the word war bonds too, after that plane hit the Empire State Building. Okay, so here's the little map. The skyscraper located in Midtown Manhattan in New York City and New York Bridgeport. And here it says the Empire State Building is 102-story, like Event 201 if you flip it around. Remember the John Hopkins University and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation? They served as a beacon to warn people about viruses. This little note here says even before completion of the Twin Tower, an Empire State Building response was readied, though it may have been only a floater to gauge public reaction. The owners of the 102-story Empire State Building, the Colossus of the Skies, for almost 40 years, and about to be relegated to the indignity of third place among the world's highest buildings, are exploring the possibilities of adding 11 stories and making the building once again the world's tallest, reported the New York Times on October 11, 1972. New Yorkers and the world were stunned. Was there no end to the race to be number one? As the Times continued, according to the tentative sketches drawn up by Shreve, Lamb, and Harmon, the original architects for the building, the 16th story tower on top of the building would be torn down, and the 6 stories beneath that would be remodeled and encompassed within a new 33-story structure. 33. Probably with the exterior of glass and restaurant on top. The plan to stretch the Empire State Building caused problems, however, beyond the indignity of such a jarring remodeling of the American icon. They bring up the 33 floors again, and just down here I wanted to show you. It says there's also the slight problem of how to demolish 16 floors more than 1,000 feet above the ground. The conceiver of the plan, Robert W. Jones, responded. Now I've heard this before with the elite and Illuminati people. Okay, if you can get it up there, you can get it down. And this is it. Each man kills the things he loves. That's one of their mottos. You have to kill the things you love. Love, at least for the idea of extending the Empire State Building in such a violent manner, was in short supply. So the management didn't go with that plan, though, and they would, it seems, have to reconcile themselves to the fact that even in their, if their 1930 structure was no longer the world's tallest, it was at least the world's most famous. And they refer to it as a lighthouse. So in the Super Bowl, that was February 7th, 2021. I covered it because Pepsi, I think it was Pepsi, was a sponsor of that, but also Super Bowl was Superb Owl, so it just kind of got some interest from me. But I thought that this was interesting. The Goodyear blimp is on the top of it, and it's a top-heavy structure, and I just thought it had a lot of like a similar quality to it. And also Superb Owl, Super Bowl, same word, just spaced around differently. Superb Owl. And the Empire State are the same numerology, as is human sacrifice is also 131. That's weird, I thought. And the Empire State Building, this guy, he painted this in 1931, this little painting. So 131. So there's the trophy, and William Gates and Super Bowl all have the simple gematria similarity. And Make America Great also is all 131. And do you guys remember that Super Bowl streaker guy, Yuri Andrade? Remember he was wearing a little pink leotard?